So we're about 3 weeks post-marathon, and so we're going to kind of tie that in today, but let's just start off with talking about some just general thoughts about our post-marathon.
Yeah.
And I want you to go ahead and start because you got I have positive words, but you have some good experiences from it. You gained a lot.
I need to decompress after this. I haven't talked my way through it yet. It was a big deal. So what we're talking about, the coaches,
Yep.
me, James, Seth, signed up for a marathon, and a marathon is 26.2 miles.
Whew.
Do you know where they came up with the word, why they named it a marathon?
I remember something about like the idea that there's a battle or something like that, and some guy ran 26 miles to go tell the
there was a guy in Greece, and the city was under attack, and they had to run from where he was to the city to get reinforcements, and where he was to where he ran was exactly 26.2 miles, and the city that he ran to the name of the city was Marathon, so that's why they call it a marathon.
I would really want to know the accuracy of if it was actually 26.2
So
miles.
here's my problem with that. Are you telling me there was not one horse? Like
Right.
in the 26 miles, they didn't come across one
One
goddamn
whole-
horse that
yeah.
he could have hopped on. Instead, he decided to run. That's my only question about that.
Because, well, the thing, yeah, and like the frustrating part is there's no way that man just all of a sudden goes like, I got to run, and ran for 26 miles. Because after experiencing what I did, there's no way you just go do that. Like,
Dude was legit. I don't know.
I don't know. There's
story.
Right? It's a cool story. It really is. Like, I want to believe it. I'm going to believe it, but
Like, give him a horse.
yeah, there had to have been a
You
horse.
had horses. You
There's,
could've written a
there's most definitely a horse.
In
But
case, we did not have a horse. So when
No.
and how did it start? So, we'll tie into this later, but
Yeah.
the coaches here, we enjoy doing challenging things. All right, so back, when did you sign up? Was it November?
So I signed up about when Seth did, which was last year, I think around November, October, somewhere around there.
Yep,
He said,
so-
I'm doing a marathon. It's like, oh, where at? And I ended up following suit and signed up as well.
Sweet. So late last fall sometime, you guys decided that you were going to do a marathon, and the marathon was dated for May 20th, 2023.
A date that'll forever be remembered.
As one of the best days of my life. Well, I didn't sign up at first because my wife's due date was May 10th. Okay, so I knew she was pregnant. I knew we were going to have the baby soon, and I didn't want to spend all the time training if I was going to be in the hospital or have a new baby, and I didn't know what life was going to be like.
Right.
A few months passed. We had the baby 3 weeks earlier, so it was when we had the baby, it was still a month out, and I got really lucky and had the best sleeping children on the planet, so I was getting lots of sleep. My wife was healthy, happy, so I was like, you know what? I'm going to sign up for it. So I signed up for the marathon on 3 weeks' notice with zero training, very low expectations, and I did it because I wanted to do something challenging that scared the absolute shit out of me, and that's exactly what I did.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, so when I was training for it, leading up to it, I knew, because I was already in good shape relatively because of CrossFit. I've been doing CrossFit a long time. But I signed up for it knowing that I was not going to be able to get in cardio shape in 3 weeks to be able to run the 26 miles. So me trying to get on a structured marathon plan in 3 weeks was it was a losing battle, and I knew that. So I knew the only way that I would be able to do it is if I started doing mental toughness training. Because you can train your brain to be as tough as you want, and 3 weeks was enough time for me that I could figure some stuff out. So in training, I only did 2 long runs.
Yeah, it was like 16 and 17 miles or something like that.
Yeah. The one I did, I think it was 12 miles, and it felt okay. It wasn't real fast, but I did it, and then I knew I needed to do a long run, so I did an 18-mile run.
That's what it was.
And leading up to the 18-mile run, I was telling myself about it in my head. And when I woke up, first thing was like, no matter what happens on Saturday, I'm gonna run 18 miles. I don't care if it's raining, I don't care if it's windy, I don't care if I roll my ankle, I will snap my foot off of my leg and finish the 18 miles if I need to.
Nice.
And it was literally a test of, I want to see how mentally tough I am. I want to see what breaks first. I want to see if my mind gives up or if my body gives up first. And it was a genuine test of, I don't care how bad it hurts, I'm just going to do it. I did my 18-mile run. It was hard.
Yeah,
Dude,
I
it was
imagine
hard.
so. Yeah,
It was hard. Like my joints, it was my
Yeah.
hips, my knees, and my feet. Because I wasn't running all that fast, and I eat pretty well. I was nutrition-wise, I was fine. It was just my joints. And there was a certain point, and you're going to touch on this too. There was a certain point in that run, I got emotional. It was right around number 15, mile 15, and I started to cry a little bit. It wasn't because I was in pain. It wasn't because I don't know what it was. It was a strange thing. In any case, I got through the 18 miles, and I said, if I can do 18 miles, I know I can do 26 with a little bit of adrenaline. So marathon came up. My plan was to run low and slow the whole time. My goal was to run like a 10:30 or 11-minute mile. I was going to start out at a 10-minute mile and just hold on as long as I could and just go about it like that. I got through the first turnaround, because the course was 6.5 miles down, 6.5 back, 6.5 down, 6.5 back. And that was the 26 or whatever.
No, it was 13, it was 6.5 because it was 13, and yeah.
Right. So I got through the first 6.5 miles, and I felt perfect. Nothing hurt. I wasn't out of breath. I wasn't thirsty. I felt literally perfect. So I sped up after the 6.5 miles.
Dude, you were flying.
I felt good.
You passed, and I was like, what's Ken doing? He's gone.
Yeah. And that's exactly what it was. It was, I just went with it. And the mile 6.5 to 13, I felt even better. I got done. I got over halfway done. I was mile 14, 15, and I felt like I had just started.
That's crazy. That's awesome.
And literally what I was doing, because I didn't have any music. No music,
you
no
went
headphones.
in like just raw dogged and you did not have anything.
All me.
Yeah.
And how I did it, and this is a lesson in positive affirmations. I literally spent 4.5 hours giving myself positive affirmations, telling myself how awesome I was and how good I was doing and how badass this was that I was doing this on 3 weeks' notice. It was just me being high on myself.
Nice.
For
That's
4.5 hours.
Yeah.
My joints didn't hurt as much as I thought it was going to. Didn't hurt as much as the 18 mile that I did like a week before. My body wasn't in any better shape. I just gave myself positive messages the entire time. I was smiling every aid station. I gave people a high five. I was like 24 miles in, about to be done. And at one of the aid stations, kids were playing football. I had them throw me a football and ran a pass and threw it back to them like 24 miles into a marathon. It was 100% mental toughness.
Absolutely.
It was all mindset. I got done, and to this day, this is one of the top 5 best days of my life. And we're talking like my wedding, the birth of my 2 kids, finishing the marathon.
That's awesome.
It was up there with how good I've ever felt in my life. I've never been more proud of myself. I've never been happier. I've never been like, oh, holy shit, I did it. And it led me, since then, to get into running more than I ever had before.
Yeah, you're like on top of it now, and you're really exploring things, which is super cool.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it was getting outside my comfort zone, something that scared the absolute shit out of me. I did it with a smile on my face, and it turned into me loving training, especially this kind of training that I've never done before, and quite frankly, I had always been bad at it. And I've always identified as someone that is bad at running. I'm not a distance runner. It's just not my thing. Always told myself that, and the reticular activating system kicks on, and the more you tell yourself, I'm not a good runner, guess what? You're not going to be a good runner.
Right.
But this is a lesson that I've been better at preaching to everybody that mindset matters. If you have a positive mindset about something, it actually works.
It really
I am
does,
living, breathing proof that it works. Because otherwise, there's no way in hell I would have been able to get through that.
No, absolutely. And like, just to put in perspective, like Ken crushed this. Like I got mine done in about 5 hours and 20 minutes.
And say crush, it's all relative. I did good for how I thought I was going to.
And that's what I mean by crushed it.
Yeah.
Because, you get your elitist marathoners that get up to sub 3 hours, whatever it is. But for no training, 3 weeks of training, Ken absolutely smashed this. Yeah. And like on my side of things, mine was different. And this is where like that balances off that mindset aspect where like.
So how did you do, James?
So mine was a far more, I still consider this probably one of my greatest achievements. I do consider that way up there. This is probably one of the greatest things I've ever done and hardest things I've ever done. I still do think of it as a great day. I do not regret one bit doing what I did, how I did it. I think I learned so much and I developed so much from it mentally and physically that it showed me just a lot. And it also it was refreshing. It was kind of, I've been in this spot where CrossFit training and lifting, I'm getting so good at it in that space where I'm getting comfortable. Like, I'm just like, oh yeah, here I am doing this, doing that. And I was ready for something different. And so doing this the way I did it was tough. It was very challenging. I had a lot more time than Ken did, but I also did not use that time to prepare. So I probably ran the farthest I did run was 7 miles before this marathon.
So, side note, after I did the 18-mile run and I knew how bad it hurt, in training, I asked James, how's training going? And I don't want to misquote you. I think the quote was something along the lines of, well, I ran 6 miles on a treadmill last week, so I think I'm good to go.
Yeah. So what happened was I ran 7 miles. I had like a weird foot cramp pain or whatever it is. And then so I kind of took a few days off and I got new shoes. And then the farthest I ran was 5 miles on a treadmill. Yep. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm good. And so I went into this, blind, but my mental state of it was, I'm just going to go in here and I'm going to complete it. That was my main goal, my main mission. I knew it was going to get uncomfortable and I expected to get uncomfortable and it did. And it wrecked me. It wrecked me mentally and physically. Physically, I ended up stopping and walking a lot more than I was anticipating. Although I did plan on walking at some point. There was no way I was going to push 26 miles, or I didn't think I could, and I let my mental state determine that. But there was mile marker like 17 or 18. I completely broke down. The first 13.1 or whatever it is, the half marathon, I crushed. I felt great. I was like, man, I'm holding my pace, 10:30. I feel awesome. I feel fine. I'm moving, and it was about that mile 16 to 18 area. I just snapped. I started crying in spurts of randomness. It wasn't because of pain. My joints were like, but I wasn't like physically broken. I was like, I'm fine, I can keep moving, but I was mentally broken.
Did you ugly girl cry?
Oh, it was an ugly girl cry. It was like my face all scrunched up, and it was like some heaving. Thank God I had glasses on, so most people are probably like, what is this guy making his face?
And so I don't mean to laugh at you because I did the same thing.
Yeah.
It was like, I don't know how yours was, but mine, it was one of those where you try not to cry and you go,
yeah, you're just kind of like, yep.
yeah.
And it was very weird. I would cry and break down, and I did not have the mental fortitude that Ken had. I went to some dark places. I started thinking of myself as a lesser person because I was not performing the way I wanted to perform. And so there was one point I remember specifically. I stopped, I stared at the ground, and I was probably 3 seconds away from grabbing my phone and calling someone to come pick me up. I was very close to quitting. And then I told myself, F that, and I turned my headphones off, and I just stuck to me, myself, and I just kept moving. And the one thing I do take away from this is my last 2 miles of that marathon, I moved without stopping. And it was very uncomfortable, but I just ran the last 2 without stopping, so I was very happy with that. But overall, what I got from it was that mental, I consider myself mentally tough, but it's been a while since I've had to push myself mentally like that. And I think that's what I loved about it the most was it mentally broke me. And I love that because now I'm like, okay, there's room where we can improve. When the unexpected or the things we're not prepared for, the uncomfortable that we're not going to know what's going to happen, we need to prime our brain a little bit more. We need to prime our mental a little bit more because you can do these things. You just did it. 26.2 miles is done. That's an accomplishment feat of its own. And so knowing that I can complete those things now shifts my mentally and it's shifted my training and all these things. So, it was an experience. I do not regret it one bit. I was very uncomfortable for 2 days afterwards, but it was awesome. I was glad I did it, and I look forward to doing another one. So there's that.
Sweet. Oh, we're going to do another one.
Oh, absolutely.
We're going to do another one.
Absolutely.
So let me ask you then, why did you sign up for it in the first place?
So my sign up there's two elements behind it. One was the general idea that I told myself at one point down I was going to complete a marathon. Before COVID, I had a marathon I signed up for.
That's right.
It got canceled. It's whatever. And so I kept pushing off. So one, it was ultimately one of my goals I said I was going to always do. Second, it's because I wanted to seek discomfort. Like I said, I got so comfortable with things, just, doing CrossFit classes, lifting, and, eating. And I started eating like junk again. I was like, oh, I'm falling off my track. I'm getting too comfortable. I need to push my comfortability here. And so that was the ultimate reason. That's why I started kind of pushing off the training. I was like, you know what? What could happen if I run 26.2 miles with no training? Will I get hurt? Will I get
out.
Yeah. Well, I found out. So it was, I wanted to do something tough. So I was like, you know what? This is it. This is the option. 26.2 miles. It's not something I do. It's not grappling. It's not CrossFit. It's not powerlifting. It's not weightlifting. All the things I do. This is something I have not done. So signed up for it to do something tough, something challenging, to push myself. Yeah.
And you touched on doing something outside of your comfort zone. CrossFitters, in my experience, the ones that I know, are notorious for not liking to go out and run. I would lump myself in that category. Yeah. And it's hard. It's hard to do something that you've never done before, and two, you're not good at. Mm-hmm. And what I want to get across, because it was so important to me, is that one of the best days of my life, like I said, up there with the birth of my children and my wedding. That's how good I felt. And I never would have done it if I didn't sign up.
Right.
I wouldn't know what that feeling is unless I signed up. Mm-hmm. And it's like when you read a good book, or you watch a good movie, or something like that, where you absolutely love something and you want to pass it on and give it to other people. Like, man, you need to watch Game of Thrones. It's so good. Same thing with signing up for events. And it could be any event. Like us coaches, we lead by example. We've done jiu-jitsu tournaments. We've done CrossFit tournaments. We did the marathon. We've done Spartan races and Tough Mudders. Things like that are just outside, that are so wildly uncomfortable. And God, it's fun.
They are a lot of fun. And ultimately, that's kind of like the idea, is to like kind of wrap like the thought, or bring the thought forward. What we're trying to talk about here is, we did this marathon. We both had kind of different experiences. And the idea behind it all is the pursuit of the uncomfortable. And we've talked about this previously, but it's something as humans that we start to settle in. And there's always that famous quote that, growth comes from being uncomfortable. And it's true. Like, if you want to grow as an individual, whether it's fitness, health, whatever it is, you have to get uncomfortable, because that means you're doing something you don't like. And ultimately, that's what we did. I'm the same way. I don't care for running. I'm pretty decent at it, especially if I do train it and work on it. I'm pretty good at running. I just don't like it. I get bored. But because of that, I did 26 miles of it to pursue something I didn't like, and to get uncomfortable and to grow some capacity. And I grew. I learned so much. Like, I'm still trying to digest everything I'm learning. I'm still applying it to like this every day. So it's just like, there's so much that we gain from being uncomfortable. And like you said, there's so many opportunities to do that. It's as simple as doing a 5K. You've never done one before. Cool. Go run/walk it. You've never done one. Try it. See what happens. I ran the whole thing, man. Sweet. Like, you're not going to know if you can do things if you don't try. Yep. And I think that's where people start to fall in that little slump, where it's like, well, I don't know. It's like, have you tried? No. Why not? Just try it. What happens? The worst that's going to happen is you're going to fail. Cool. You know what you need to work on. You learn from that. Like, at the standard of the marathon, I failed this marathon. But not in my eyes. I think it was a success. I learned so much. I gained so much. And it's like, I think that's where, as human beings, we start to kind of get in that little trap of comfortability. Yep. And we see that in life, we see that in health, and we see that in fitness all day, every day almost.
Yep. And I've been talking to a lot of people lately about identity and who you want to be, and what kind of person you want to be, and what you identify as. So, some people, it's work. My identity is tied to my job, and some people, it's my identity is tied to my family, my spouse, my kids. And those are all fine. And what I would challenge people to do is to, like we've been talking about, get outside of your comfort zone, sign up for something, and make that part of who you are. Like, do something, and I call it adventuring. Doing something outside of your comfort zone. Sign up for that and make that a part of who you are. Yeah. So that, Billy Bob is going to, every fall, every September, Billy Bob does something crazy. Whether it's a Tough Mudder, or a marathon, or a trail run, or a paddle boarding across Lake Michigan, or whatever the thing is, do something then that can be a part of who you are. And that's a really cool place to be because, man, it's so easy to get caught up in just doing the same thing. Go to work, come home, watch TV, go to bed, repeat until you retire. That's it.
Like, yeah. It's yeah, and it's a trap I even fall into, like when I'm like, even with this, you know, I'll wake up and when school's in session, I wake up, I go teach, I come, I work out, I'll coach, and then I'll go home, I'll go to bed, and like that's Monday through Friday, nothing else. And rather than like, this is like, you know, my other half will be like, oh, let's go do this, let's go do that. On a Tuesday night, I'm like, oh no, it's time for bed. And it's like sometimes you just gotta like, I'm not saying like throw like your recovery away, your sleep away, like make everything like poor. It's just like sometimes you have to kind of like branch out to get some experience of things. And in order to grow, we have to experience something. Like if you want to get stronger, it's the same concept. You have to add a little bit more weight. You're not going to get stronger by lifting 30 pounds at the same reps, the same volume every week. You have to adjust something. Maybe it's more reps. Maybe it's more weight. Whatever that is, something has to grow. Something has to get uncomfortable in order to grow.
That's a cool way to look at it.
Yeah.
Like a progressive overload in weightlifting. Now what we're trying to get you to do is progressive overload in life.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I know it's huge, isn't
that's
it?
a thing. I never heard that before.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah.
And as I get older now, and as I experience different things, being a teacher, being a coach, you know, trying to be the best person I can be, I'm starting to realize as much as fitness and working out is important, so is life. You want to experience it. You do the stuff you do in the gym to experience life, so why not apply that in some capacity? We just got back from Arizona. I hiked freaking mountains. It was sweet. I could not have done that if I didn't do what I do now. But I used that to experience that, and it was uncomfortable. There was a hike that the people that were with me, they got a little dark. They start going like, "This is awful. This is horrible." And I was having a blast of my life. Like it was awesome.
I just ran a marathon too.
Yeah, right. But it's that idea like to get order to grow in life and experience to. And there's always that idea of leveling up or going pro or however you want to phrase it. There in some capacity you have to challenge yourself. Whatever that looks like. Maybe it is for you getting 8 hours of sleep. That's challenging. Do it. It's going to be uncomfortable. You're going to have to give something up. Maybe it's 2 hours of television. Maybe it's 2 hours of snacking. Whatever it is, boom. That's uncomfortable for you. It doesn't have to be anything grand, but I like to bring that idea in because everyone thinks I'm comfortable. It has to be this huge event. Yep. It doesn't necessarily have to be. Just depends on where you're at in life. Maybe for you, it's like, I've never done a running event. I really want to. Cool. Sign up for FK. See what happens.
Seek discomfort.
Mm-hmm.
Be the crazy person at the office that is always doing something like that. Find reasons to make yourself uncomfortable. It's such a big deal. That's the point of what we're talking about today. Mm-hmm. Also, my favorite reason why I still do ice baths is because it is a way for me to make myself uncomfortable, just so I don't fall in the same rhythm of getting too comfortable. There's an old Stoic. So if anyone doesn't know what Stoicism is, I have like 7 tattoos and 5 of them are Stoic tattoos. So do your research. But one Stoic principle or one Stoic activity that used to be done is every once in a while they will sleep on the floor next to their bed instead of sleeping on their bed. It makes you uncomfortable, and it makes you realize how grateful you are to have a bed. There was I think it was Seneca. It was one of the famous Stoics a couple thousand years ago, and he was pretty wealthy, and he would dress up as a homeless person and go like walk around the homeless area just to see like what the other half of life looks like, and to get out of the comfort zone, live life that way, and then you get back to normal. You enjoy your life, and that's it. Yeah,
I think it's just one of those things. You got to make yourself do it because it's hard to see. And finding those little things that do it, and that's something I am going to plan on doing I am going to do ice baths weekly because it is uncomfortable to me, especially since my traumatic experience at the polar plunge.
Boy, we talk about doing something that goes outside of your comfort zone. Yeah. I thought you were on the verge of death. So I'm glad that you're here.
But that is something I will do once a week because it is uncomfortable to me. Like it is the most like challenging thing for me to do. But I want to do it after that marathon. I'm like, I have to do this. Something to keep me out my bubble. Because once I get my bubble, I start to fall back into comfort. And I'm like, I don't want to do that. I need to keep moving forward. So,
all right, go do an ice bath.
Right? Friday. It'll
All
be
right,
Friday.
fine. Well, this week you're gonna do a nice
Yes,
bath.
this
I'm gonna
week.
clean it out because it's pretty gross because I've been in it a bunch. So
That's fair.
Yeah, I'll
All
clean out the
right.
water for you. You can do a nice bath this week.
Perfect. All right, Ken. Anything else to add on like marathon, discomfort, chasing the uncomfortable?
Running is awesome.
Running is awesome. It is. I do it now 3 days a week, and
Oh,
I
boy.
swim twice a week.
That's what I've been bad at, scheduling time to swim.
Mm-hmm.
Sign up for something. That's what I want people to do.
Yeah.
I just had I had 2 members this week that I've been working with that they both signed up for a 5K in Fort Wayne in September.
Nice. Yeah. Heck yeah. Sign up for an event. Do it. Even if you don't want to do it alone, ask either members here or ask us. I love doing events. I
Yep.
think they're fun. Like I said, they get me outside my comfort zone of always being in the gym and doing this, and it gets me outside. So ask a coach. We'll gladly do it with you. If not, find one of the members here, and they'll do it with you.
You got it. We can do it.
All right. Other than that, that's all we got for today. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Inside the Box. We'll see you guys on the next episode. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and follow for more in the future.
Also, do something uncomfortable today.
Yeah. Do something comfortable. Do it.
That's all I got.
Eat something you don't normally
Eat
eat.
something disgusting.
Oh, I was thinking like eating something like you don't normally, like a different food. You know how people get like super like picky and you're like, oh, I don't want to try this. Like try something new. Try something new in food category.
Ooh, we didn't even talk about that. Yeah, there you go. Go to a restaurant. Try something you would never normally order.
Yeah. I like
See?
it.
Yeah,
There we
there
go.
you
Try
go.
something new today. Get outside your box. Get outside your comfort zone. Try something new. Try something different. Challenge yourself.
Love it.